Miss Mahtab, we are live. The floor is yours.
Okay, thank you so much. Hello everyone, and good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. This is Mahtab Kramati, and I have the joy of being your moderator today. A little about me: I serve as the head assistant in the research and policy department at Women Ascension, and it is such a privilege to welcome you all to this session. So, dear all, before we start or before we begin, let me ask you something. So, in general, when we all talk about health, most of the time our minds directly go to the body, like blood pressure, sugar levels, or maybe exercises. But the truth is that our minds carry just as much as the weight. And as people age, actually, this becomes more important. So sometimes, if you notice, our elders are surrounded by families, but again, they still feel alone. Or many times we see they are smiling at us, but we do know that inside they are battling with depression and anxiety. So actually, this isn't just a medical issue. They're deeply human experiences, and that's exactly why today's session is matters. So, before we go to our session, let me have a short introduction about Women Ascension, especially for you, for those of you who are joining us for the first time. Okay, Women Ascension is a global nonprofit organization. We are dedicating to empowering women and advancing them with the practical skill, leadership, and community development. Okay, and our goal, we are working across sustainable development goals, I mean SDGs, through various initiatives. So our core mission focus on building global capacity, developing essential skill, and providing entrepreneurial support for women around the world. And also, I'm so excited to highlight our last initiative, the 1 Million Leadership Program for till 2030. This is actually an ongoing fellowship program that unites people across 5 continents. Actually, it is fostering leadership, resilience, and community development. So, okay, so now let's come to our today's topic. It is aging and elderly mental health. Actually, this is not just a title. It is like more than like a reminder that health is a lifelong, and so is a dignity. So, talking about mental health in aging population is really about connecting, compassionate, and care. So, let's meet our today's mentor. So, today we are honored to be joined by Miss Martha Smith, an award-winning author, resilient ambassador, and also an international speaker. So, through her books and coaching, Miss Martha has inspired countless people with her powerful message of hope, empowerment, and thriving through challenges. She brings with her not only experience, but also a deep passion for guiding others toward resilience and growth. Okay, so what we will explore today. By the end of this session, I hope that we all walk away not just with the knowledge, but with the practical wisdom, things that we actually can carry back into our families and communities. So we will touch on with topics like why elderly mental health matters, just as much as physical health, the invisible struggles with the elder people like depression and anxiety and more, and how families and caregivers can be lifelines of support, how to break the silence and stigma around elders people and elderly mental health, and also how communities can foster dignity and inclusion for the aging population. So before we move to Miss Martha's talk, I'd like to remind you all, your voice matters here. If something sparks your curiosity, just jot it down or share it in the chat box. And also, if you have any questions, just keep in your mind. You can raise your hand at the end of the session, or maybe you can just put it in the chat. We will make sure to bring as much as we can in the discussion after the session. Okay, so now let's move to Miss Martha's talk. Miss Martha, Very warm welcome to our session, and the floor is yours. Please go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for joining. And my title is From Heavy Loads to Light Steps. Why? Because as we get older, we tend to carry a lot of unresolved issues in our minds for unknown reasons, for fear, for not wanting to be judged or whatever, but that's the problem. When we carry that load, it becomes very heavy. It obscures our clarity. And just let me start with saying that aging doesn't begin at 65. It begins when we're born, the day we were born. That emotional luggage we collect, along with the regrets, the grief, the truth, the disappointments, and the loneliness, don't wait until the later years to arrive. They come as we live. And that's why I wanted to say clearly, it's never too early to begin unpacking. The truth is, we all carry bags. Some are light, some are filled with joy, some are filled with memories and laughter, and others are heavy, full of things unsaid, unresolved, hurts, and dreams that we thought were lost. But here's the key: resilience. And I've been dubbed the resilience ambassador, and I didn't even know I was resilient. I've been through so many things. I've moved 49 times in my lifetime. I've had 28 surgeries, was in a wheelchair. God had a bigger purpose for me, and I am grateful that I got through all that, that I emptied that emotional luggage and I saw the solutions to everything that I had not healed. I'm still healing, and every now and then things trigger, but I have so much more peace of mind and joy in life, and I find challenges now more than curses, or I feel, you know, unblessed. But definitely the key is the resilience is the art of choosing what you want to keep, what you want to release, so that when we age, our steps become lighter and not heavier. We let go of the load as we go. So I have some tips, and the first thing to do is acknowledge and unpack. Don't suppress anything. And I know that some of us are afraid, shy, or whatever, but it's acknowledge that you have to remove some of that so that you can see a bigger vision, so that you can see your dreams, so you can set your goals, so you can be more, I guess, attracted to other people as well as other people attracted to you. Because if someone sees that you're miserable, they don't want to be near you, and you're going to make them miserable by sharing what you have to say. So be mindful that what we do, what we say, and how we act not just affects us, but affects everyone. And I think if we learn some of this unpacking, that people would be less stressed, that people would have better health, that their hearts would be healthier because they're feeling joy, the endorphins are growing in your body, the the curiosity, the creativity, and everything increase because you have room to play and enjoy life the way it's meant to be. So imagine packing a suitcase for a long trip and shoving everything inside without order. You're just putting it all in there and just loading it up to the gills. Eventually, it's not going to close, or worse, it's going to bust open at the airport for everyone to see. So our emotions work the same way. If we don't resolve them, if we don't talk about them, if we don't write them down, if we don't, air them out, then we're going to be in trouble. But the thing is our emotions work the same way as this luggage. And if we suppress the grief, the anger, the regret, it doesn't disappear, it hides, and it grows heavy, and it leaks out stress and illness and bitterness. So, how do we unpack it, you might ask? Journaling. Writing for me has been a catharsis. Had I not written my first book, I probably would have never dared to talk to anyone about this. I probably would have never been as joyful as I am today, and I probably would have never written I'm on my 19th book. And why so many? I translate in Spanish and English, but most of all, I want to teach younger children so that they don't suffer like older people do. That this has been going on for generations. And that's the thing, is that just because you know what to do doesn't mean that your parents knew what to do, or no one spoke about it, or it was a shameful thing to say that you felt a certain way. So that's why we have to write it down. When we write it down, we release it. We can burn it if something's bothering us and we don't have the I guess, courage to speak to someone about this and resolve it, then at least we're releasing it out of our minds. We're clearing our thoughts and getting more clarity. Another thing is storytelling. In each and every one of us, you don't have to be a writer. You have a story to tell. Why? Because you've lived it, you've experienced it. And then get around a support circle. Get around people that they want to take you under their wings and watch you grow. Had I not done that around, I got away from the toxicity because I used to compare notes with other people that were miserable. And it seems like we wanted to be out misering each other, like I'm going to bring it up another notch. Oh, this happened to me and this happened to me. But what does that do? It gets you away from finding joy in life. So each time you have an emotion, you remove it like a stone from your backpack, and then resilience begins with honesty. This hurt me, this shaped me, and now I don't know what to do with it. So you have to pause. You have to just speak more openly to yourself. You have to be your own coach. I know there's tons of coaches out there. I'm a coach too. But if you don't know how to speak to yourself, find someone that'll teach you how to speak to yourself and ask the hard questions, because that is important. Another thing is to replace regret with renewal. And now that sounds like that's the second tip, but that sounds even harder. So how do you replace regret with renewal? Well, one of the heaviest bags we do carry as we age is, I should have done this. I could have done this. I wished I had done. And those are just empty words. We don't add anything to it except insult and injury to ourselves because we feel we weren't successful, or we should have done something that when we had the chance and the opportunity to do so, we didn't. And does that happen? Because we're so focused on everything that went wrong. And I did this when I was coming up and growing up. I was focused on everything wrong that happened to me. So I couldn't see that there was a vision of me to have a dream, or that I could possibly be a writer, or that I could, work for myself, be an entrepreneur. So it's just like when you remove all that luggage, you see possibilities, you see better chances. People start asking you more questions. You start asking yourself more questions. So it takes practice, and it's something you don't develop overnight. It definitely is like self-maintenance. You just like you do exercise, just like you nurture and put nutrition in your body, you have to put the same thing in your mind. Clear, level-headed thoughts. Resolve the things that aren't resolved. And if you don't want to resolve them, put them down on the piece of paper. At least they got out of your mind for a little while. And if something else triggers, then you know you need to attend to those things, because each and every time we feel something similar that we've already suffered, it's going to be like a scab after a surgery. You bleed again because this is worse than the last time, and you start comparing and you start exaggerating, because the reality of what happens in life is not always our truth. And the truth is never changing. What we do is we imagine, we perceive, we take a different perspective, but really what happens in life, no one can change. We can control how we see it, how we feel about it. So you have to start small, like a recipe, like a new walk, a new friendship. You just have to test out what works for you. Volunteer your wisdom. I feel very good sharing with other people, especially younger generation, of what I've suffered so that they don't have to suffer. And even in me talking about it, I learn more things from them because I see that they have different reactions as well. And when we talk about things, we learn more from other people that way too. Instead of just, hi, how you doing? I'm doing fine, blah, blah, blah. But no, nothing deep, nothing meaningful. And that's how you develop meaningful relationships when people know you inside and out and they tell you, this is bothering me, or you already can tell just by their demeanor. If they're not talking and you also always see them joyful, then you already know that something's going on. And if they want to talk about it, you should say, is there something you want to talk about? And if they don't want to talk about it, it's fine too. But always be mindful, because this is why people commit suicide. They can't talk about what they're feeling. They feel cornered. And why do I know that? Because I tried to commit suicide as well. When I was in the wheelchair, my life was over. I'm done. I'm a mistake. My mom told me when I was 7 years old, we didn't want girls. And you're a mistake. And I was like, I didn't ask to be born. That was back then. Now I thank her for it. How can you thank your mom for saying that? Well, because that planted a seed in me to find my value, to find my worth. And as life would have it, things turned around, and I ended up taking care of them at the very end when they passed away. But I knew that I had to go through all of that to get to the point where I could heal it. Otherwise, I would have never spoken about it. I would just say my parents are terrible. I I don't love them. No, I loved them. I just didn't know how to communicate with them. And really and truly, when it comes down to it, we didn't know each other. They didn't know what I was about, and also the culture, because I was born in South America and we moved to the United States, then back to Venezuela, back to Colombia, up and down the East Coast. I didn't know what culture, what language, or who I belonged to. And especially if you're a little kid, you say, well, if I was a mistake, then everything I do is wrong. I drove myself to perfection. And that was even worse because everything I did was a mistake in my eyes. I couldn't do anything right. I graduated from the medical university to become a radiation therapist. All of a sudden, I'm like, yes, I'm the only one of all my siblings that graduated from the medical university, not just the college, but a medical. I was so proud, and I thought this was going to win my parents over. My mom said, why didn't you make valedictorian? I had a GPA of 3.9. I almost made valedictorian, but then I was like, oh, I messed up. So to me, I could never reach the level that I thought was true in my book of when I would please my parents. And instead of me worrying about pleasing my parents, I was displeasing myself. And it isn't arrogance, it isn't selfishness to maintain your level-headedness, your brain, your emotions, your soul, your heart, your mind, your body. It's important. We can't give what we don't have, and we sure but can't add to someone to change them. So the thing to do is take care of yourself. And when you take care of yourself, you're going to feel more joy. You're going to find ways of getting out in nature and recharging that battery. Yes, you have a lousy job and a terrible boss. That doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. As long as you can turn off that switch, or if it's that bad, get away from that job. If something keeps reminding you that this is terrible, then it's time for you to look at the bigger picture and say, I'm away. I'm gone. I don't need this. I don't have to have this. I was fine before I got here, and I'll be fine when I leave. Another thing is daily building of rituals or connections. Yes, the computers are wonderful. Texting is awesome. And you could reach all across the pond and every international level. But there's a time and a place for you to stop and disconnect and see everything out there that is free. You could have sense around, you have surround sound and everything when you walk in nature. And we don't have to recharge the battery out there. So learn to appreciate the things that God put on this earth for you to enjoy. Because if you're always focused on getting stuff done and making money and that's going to be my all, no. Yes, money is important. Money is necessary. And we want to help other people when we make money. But if we can't help ourselves, we're not helping anyone. And it doesn't, and you see it all the time. You read about people that reached millionaires and they're still not happy. Why? Because they've not resolved everything, because they carry that luggage, because they filled their bag full of emotional mess. So it's up to us to connect with other people that think alike. They have the right mindset that this is only temporary. Whatever adversity you're facing is temporary. It's not going to drill you and kill you to continue focusing on everything but that. On the contrary, get away from staying, on that subject and find a way to talk about it differently. That's another thing, the way we converse to ourselves. Oh, I'm terrible. I can't believe this. No, okay, well, you've already shut the door on any possibility of things changing around. So it's important that you have good connections with yourself because a connection is like medicine to you. And another thing is have like a schedule that you want to go out and meet people, even if it's new people. When you're at the store, try to engage people because those register runners are oh, I got a terrible job and I got to keep it busy. No, stop, make them smile. They'll feel better. They'll smile at you. And then the next thing you know, they're even nicer to other people. We can drop a tiny hint of joy and it can contaminate other people. That's how we need to remember that what we do is going to affect other people. And if we do something good, I always say, if I go in the room and I can't leave it better than I found it, I don't need to go in that room. And if I can't do anything, if I can't speak the language, if I don't understand the people, the one universal language is a hug and a smile. It goes clear across the continents, and no one can tell me differently. So that's the most important part, is to connect with people so that you connect with yourself and you realize where you're missing the opportunities to change your life. So as a conclusion, as we age, we often ask, what will I lose? But the real question is, what will I release and gain freedom? I feel light. I lost 70 pounds, 70 inches. I thought that would make it great. No, I feel much lighter now after going through all my catharsis and writing my books and expressing all this. So age doesn't mean that you have a decline. On the contrary, you build wisdom, you build experience. Share it with the younger people. Share, and you will feel like you've accomplished something, even if it was a recipe, even if it was something that you didn't know about when you were growing up. You never know what you're going to share with someone to make them inspired. And each and every one of us can inspire others, and we can inspire ourselves and be inspired by others. So aging doesn't have to mean it's the end of your life. No, on the contrary, aging is something I'm proud of. I'm 66 and a half years old, and I will tell you that when I was 50, I didn't think I was going to be 60 years old. I thought I was going to die. And honestly, it's the best thing in the world to release all that emotional luggage, travel lightly, and step lightly, because you don't never know what opportunities pop up. So the key to resilience is unpack the unnecessary, renew what still calls you, and connect deeply so that wisdom fuels generations. Anyway, so my call to action is start unpacking your luggage. Start looking at what it is that you carry. What is it? A constant reminder to you that that person just drives me crazy. But why does it drive you crazy? Something's not resolved. It's not the person. It's whatever they did or didn't do that makes the difference. So write down in a piece of baggage write down in a piece of paper all the baggage that constantly reminds you. And you'll see that you'll start not thinking about it because you've thrown it out there on the piece of paper. It's very healing when you do that. And if you don't want anybody else to see it, then just burn it. I mean, just release it, because it's something you carry that's heavy as could be, and you can't touch it. You don't want to touch it. Well, get rid of it. Get rid of it. So I will leave you with this thought. We are not defined by the years we carry, but the lightness in our steps we take, and the sparks we ignite with the wisdom it gives us. Thank you, everyone. God bless, and carry your load lightly. Wow.
Thank you so much, Ms. Marta, for the amazing session and also for the amazing speeches. Actually, that was really, really great and inspiring for everybody. Okay, so Ms. Marta, actually now we are going to open the Q&A session. So there will be questions from the participants too. So I encourage everybody, just maybe if you want, raise your hand, or if you want, just jot down or drop your question in the chat box. So of course, we will go one by one on your questions, okay?
Okay.
So yeah, we will have some, maybe take some time so the participant send their messages or their questions. Before that, I myself will ask you some questions. So
Okay.
yeah. Okay,
Go.
so actually many elderly people often they don't openly share feelings of especially about loneliness or sadness. Maybe sometimes because they don't want to be or to be hurt, or maybe they don't want to be
A
recognized as a
burden.
lonely person. Yeah.
Mhm.
So how can we address them, or maybe talk with them so they can openly share their
And this is where the generations, especially the older people, and I will say it's
little
pride.
bit.
It's pride over anything else. And if you, the best thing to do is catch them when they're joyful. Catch them when they're joyful and ask them about their childhood. What do they remember about their childhood? You're going to see a reaction in them that changes their demeanor. Because if you drill them from the get-go and say, why do you feel lonely? That's just a reminder of everything that they've been carrying. Tell me how your childhood was. Where did you go to school? Well, just change the demeanor of your topic and you'll see they'll start opening up. I say I worked in a nursing home with elderly people. And I was like, oof, you could see the depression, you could feel their tenseness and how they felt abandoned and lonely and everything that I've lived. Okay. I could feel just the instinct of feeling it. But at the same time, I would say, okay, what can I do to make this different? Well, I ended up taking my golden retriever mascot to the nursing home. Every one of those people were joyful. They couldn't wait to touch my dog. And I was like, wow, see, this was something I never imagined that, and I will tell you, I forgot to tell you that my dream is to build a retreat where young people are taking care of horses because horses are very noble, and golden retrievers. They're very noble as well. And so these animals are going to train the kids to be calm, cool, and collected. And then the older people are going to visit this retreat and share their wisdom and see the joy of the kids working with these animals, because I don't know anyone that loves animals and works with them that isn't in a good mood. They find a way. They find a way. So thank you for asking that, but it's a hard topic when people don't want to open up. But open them up by changing the subject and ask them about their childhood. They'd love to share. They just don't know how.
Yeah, exactly. Truly, that could be really challenging, especially if they persist, or
Mhm.
not to share their experiences. Okay, so let's move on to the next question. Actually, questions are coming up. Here we have a question: how can we fight stress that can lead to possible depressions?
Oof. And that's a question for everyone. It's not just for older people. How do we fight stress? Stress is right there related with resiliency. If you have resiliency, you won't stress. Why? Because you won't be constantly thinking about the things that are making you upset or disturbing your peace. So how do we do it? We find a way to find inner peace. Even if it is just walk away, go visit outside, go talk to a friend, whatever, but change the scenery and you'll change your attitude. And go find something joyful, just like talking to the older people, find something that'll be joyful. But it all lines up with resiliency and seeing things in a different light. Yes, you've been challenged. Yes, things go bad, but you survived. You still have your senses. You're alive. You're walking, you're talking, you're seeing, you're eating, you're singing, whatever. Find the blessings in your life and you will see that the stress will be reduced.
Yeah, thank you so much for answering. Yeah, sure. Actual blessing or maybe reflecting to what we have already that truly may help us. Yeah, okay, let's jump to the next question. We have how to overcome social anxiety and the feeling of never being enough. Actually, I think most of the people have this feeling.
I had it all my life until I turned 60, I think is when I finally did the mind shift that I was not enough. I was a mistake. How can you can't go any lower than that? If you think you're a mistake in everything you do, then you're not you don't have any self-assuredness that you should even be around. But the thing is again, count everything that you've accomplished, even if it was tiny little baby steps that got you to the next step. You've traveled, you've worked, you've learned, you've taught, whatever drives you. Always look at what you've accomplished instead of what you didn't get to do. And that will reduce the anxiety.
Okay, thank you so much for the nice answer. Okay, one more question. I'm a teacher. Somebody said that I'm a teacher in an international school in Oman. We have many aggressive students, even in primary classes. How to deal with them? Some are very and would even bother to listen. What can we do with them?
Well, that can be very challenging. I think a lot of it is mental illness. If someone is aggressive, they've built that luggage way up to the top. They've got rocks, they've got boulders. They don't know how to release that anger. That aggression is a release of anger. That something made them mad, and it might not be the person teaching them. It might not be it be someone completely innocent. But you see it in daily life that people become aggressive and violent and then no one knew why they were doing it. It's probably because they had unresolved issues. So that is why it's so important to keep your brain with clarity and avoid it. But when people are super aggressive, that's when you need the medical attention, the psychologist, the psychiatrist, because it's beyond your control. But definitely try to ask them to find a way to tell them what they enjoy. And that's probably is all I could think of. But I've dealt with I taught for 35 years Sunday school, and I had a lot of aggressive people. Oh, my parents made me come here, and I don't want to learn nothing about this because it's all garbage. Okay, fine. But what would you be doing if you're not here? I don't know, nothing. I said, this is better than nothing. And maybe if you open your mind a little, you'll hear something. Well, I will tell you that half of the class that used to think that way, after they left my class years after, now they're married, they're teaching Sunday school. So to me, that you can't ask for a better paycheck that way because they finally saw something good in them to want to share with the world.
Yeah, thank you so much for answering the question again. Okay, someone here asked that how to practice resilience.
And it is a practice. It is a practice. Like, okay, when you're looking at something that's bothering you, adversity is right there in your face. The first thing you want to do is act like a photographer. You're going to change the angle of what you're looking at. If you're saying this is awful, I can't believe this is happening. Okay, no. This is challenging. I believe I can find a solution. I'm already changing my mindset. I'm already looking at a possibility of finding a solution instead of drilling all this stuff. It takes practice. It takes getting around and away from all the toxicity uh, out of your system because that doesn't help you see clearly either. So, first, you got to dump all your luggage, practice. If someone upsets you or has a problem, slow down, breathe. Breathing is wonderful. It's very cathartic. When you deeply breathe, your body gets all that oxygen and you slow down. You calm down. And now you're not wanting to fight. Okay? Now you're wanting to figure out. So practice is definitely a must, but it's in every situation is different. But if you have less luggage up here, you're going to find more options to resolve.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I was disconnected for a moment.
No worries.
Yeah. So yeah, let me actually I have also lost the questions that people were asking. So I'm kindly ask all the people participants if you could just resend your questions in the chat box so we can go over them. I'm sorry for the connection. Actually,
No worries. No
this
worries.
yeah. Okay. So I do have one more question, maybe from my side.
Okay.
When we think about elderly mental health, it is not just about families. It is also, yeah, truly about the environments that they live in, the community and the people around them.
Mhm.
From community spaces to healthcare system, and what are some small but in fact impactful changes that communities can make to maybe create places for those people, elderly people, so they can feel more safe and connected and
I,
just make busy themselves.
I think that is very important. Why? Because we as human beings are so busy with life, trying to make a living, trying to survive. And we have a tendency to forget about other people. But the older people, if they feel forgotten about, they're even worse, their worst enemy just because someone isn't talking to them. So the most important thing I think is to make them realize that they are important, that they should be included in one way, shape, or form to your life, that they've done something good, or remind them of everything that they've accomplished if you know about it. So if they feel useful, they have a purpose. And every one of us is born with a passion and a purpose. You take away the purpose, you're going to decline. You're going to get depressed. You're going to get anxious. You're going to hate life. So, whatever you do, make them find the joy. Make them discover and feel useful. Even if it is sharing old recipes, even if it is sewing or all the crafts that used to exist another generation ago, they seem to be going by the wayside. Why? Because of technology. So remind them, hey, Grandma, how was it that you used to, knit? Or tell me or show me some of the stuff you've made, even if they can't or they have arthritis or whatever. Make them feel useful. Because when you feel useful, you want to start doing more. You want to show the world that you can even do more. I'm telling you, I've gotten, and this is not to brag, but I've gotten numerous awards since I've written my books, bestseller, blah, blah, blah. Okay, if I could do it after all I've been through, imagine what someone can do that's never been through it. Imagine what possibilities you all have that are young, that are still full of spring and hopes and dreams and everything. So the way you feel about life, make it aware to other people that are older and say, "Wow, look at this kid. He's not letting life turn him down." So just share your joy and they're gonna start feeling contaminated. That's why it's so important to act, you know, happy. Even if sometimes you don't feel happy because something bothers you, that's only temporary. The thing you want to feel the most is joyful and grateful. So you got disconnected.
Miss Marty, because Miss Mahtab's internet is really bad. So
Right.
let's just read the question and answer them one by one. What do you think?
Okay, that's fine.
Okay. People are dropping their question. Can you see them?
Uh, I'm opening the chat now. Let's
Okay.
see. Storytelling works for me. Replace regret with renewal. I'm looking for a question.
Yes, ma'am. I'll assist you in the same.
Okay.
There's one candidate named Nargis. She wants to know how can communities help to improve mental health in older adults?
And that's where communities need to take responsibility. Those communities didn't get there without the help of the people that are born ahead of them. So be appreciative and show them that they did something good in life. And some, maybe perhaps these people aren't happy-go-lucky type of people. Will find a joy for them. Make them feel important because the more importance you give to someone's life, the more they're going to show you what they can do. So the community seem to be, making all kinds of excuses why they can't afford to build all these things. But really and truly, when you see the joy that it brings to all these people, and that's why it's so important to publicize all these. There's tons of people out there that we don't hear about that are doing the very things that the government isn't taking care of. So what we need to do is show other people that there's other ways instead of depending on the infrastructure to do it. That's why I say if I open that retreat, I'm be a happy camper. I don't care. I don't care who, somewhere, somehow, this is going to happen. And if I don't get to do it, I'm going to leave it for someone else to do. So always find options. And no, it's not easy because society doesn't seem to place priorities over the people. It's more about money and expenses. And that's why I say money isn't everything. What's everything is the joy of life.
Yes, indeed. Well, answer that one. We should be self-sufficient and work from our alternatives. Thank you,
Yes.
ma'am, for the same. There's
You're welcome.
another question by
Okay.
the same candidate. She's asking, what are some ways to keep the mind active in old age, since everything is related to mind? So,
Well, music is a wonderful source. Reading, watching movies, the old-timey good movies, not the junk on TV now, but just, stimulating any way, shape, or form, even if those people are handicapped, because I was handicapped, I will tell you that nature did me a lot of good. Going outside to smell the fresh air, watching the sunrise and sunset, that was like, wow, how cool is that? That was drawn just for my eyes. Just find little sources of joy and they'll start building up, and the more conscious and the more aware of the present you are, the less you focus on all the bad stuff that happened to you in the past, and the future hasn't gotten here. We're not promised the future, so stay with the now, with the present. Enjoy your life right now. Don't wait for next year. Don't wait till you graduate. Don't wait till you make money. Don't wait till you get married. No. Find the joy now and you're going to change your life.
yes, I totally agree with the same. Uh, there's another question by a candidate. Do elderly people who have successfully gone through various developmental stages still face mental health issues? Is there any advantage to these people?
Well, some people handle things a whole lot better, and you can see that in every age. Some kids, some kids will fight in the parking lot, and the next thing they're hugging. So why? Because they resolve everything right away. So that example right there of kids behaving like they do, they're clear. They're innocent. They haven't been contaminated by the world and all the misery that we see daily because the news wants to drill it in our heads how awful everything is. There's a lot of good stuff out there. And if I had my way, I would remove all the news channels and put nothing but inspiring stories because someone is going to say, "Wow, if they could do that, I could do something just like it or maybe differently or take credit for it and feel useful." That's the purpose-driven life. You have to have it. And older people, some older people are, and I will tell you personally, I have one person. She's 86 years old. This woman was disfigured. She used to be a model before she got into a car wreck. She was disfigured and she has made art her passion. She's an author. And now, guess what God has us doing? Her and I both are doing tiny baby podcasts. And what we're doing is bringing the mini versions of myself and her into animated children with our pictures. And kids are learning resilience from that. So there's always ways to change the script. You are the author of what you want to construct in your life. No one else can make you do anything you don't want to do.
Yes, totally agree, ma'am. We should focus on the controllable things, and that is
Exactly.
ourselves and our minds. So there was a very interesting question by a candidate. How do you assist elderly persons who are not willing to communicate their challenges, but rather consider mental health as witchcraft?
Wow. That's a tough one. And if they consider mental health witchcraft, they're already on the wrong avenue to figure out their life. And that's all that contamination. And then this is where if you know that you're nothing but loaded with misery, you're going to be miserable. And you're going to probably not even think that there's anything good in this world. That's probably why. So it's a mental health issue, and it's definitely something that needs to be addressed by a specialist, a good person that can hear why they feel that way. What is it that makes you say those things? What did you live to believe that this is the only way to see things? So it takes digging, but if they don't want to do it, then you can't do a thing about it. And just I pray for them because there's not a whole lot you could do, but it's sad that people just see that misery is everything that they are a part of and nothing good is in their lives. And that's very sad.
Indeed, ma'am. There is a candidate who has raised his or her hand. Sorry, I'm not able to pronounce your name correctly. So, can you please unmute yourself and ask your question?
Is it Tadiwanasi? Wanashi? Tadiwanashi? Is that the one?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, shoot. Tell me your question.
I guess that person is not able to hear due to the technical issues. Uh,
Okay.
Pardoning that, I have certain questions, two questions.
Okay.
Basically, I want to ask a question. People usually get mental health issues when they reach near their retirement things. Like, for example, some people are very passionate about work, and even if they're not doing a job, they do freelancing nowadays. So, how to take care of your mental health at that point? Because that is also a kind of what I think a kind of a mental health issue only, that you're not able to stop when your body is giving you the signals, but your
Right.
brain is overpowering. So, how we can
Well,
settle out that?
and that is the human need for recognition. As long as they feel useful, they want to continue doing what made them feel useful or their lives. And they don't see that if they feel like they're slowing down, that's just hitting the brakes and you're putting up against the wall and they're not going to see anything good happening after that. But that's where you have to kind of tell them for your own good. Maybe you don't have to work so hard, start writing your book, start writing a biography or children's books or draw or photography or sewing. Just find them something to replace their job and still feel productive. But yes, I understand that part about because I thought when I was in a wheelchair, I'm never going to work. I'm never going to make a living. I'm just going to be miserable the rest of my life. No, 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 no. On the contrary, if anything, this being handicapped taught me how to be more compassionate, how to be more empathetic with people that are in those devices or challenged. It makes you pay attention to the life that you have and be grateful for everything you're not suffering. So it's a give and take, but definitely making them feel worth is what they're wanting. And if they're not working, then they feel like they're no good at anybody. But no, no, you have to remind them that they're still the miracle that God made them. They just rearranged the scenery so that you're doing something different.
Indeed, justified answer. I really liked it. I have another question. Uh,
Okay.
like, how we can, you know, what ways the caregivers or the families can adopt to support the emotional resilience of elderly loved ones.
Well, that's when I think I've been to a nursing home where they played a lot of games, and those games were silly, just like really nothing, but it was like they would build teams. So when you have that team spirit, the people that don't want to do anything by themselves will want to step into the line and try to do something with someone else, as long as they're joyful. So I think playing games with them, even if it's just a challenge to, I don't know, unroll a roll of paper towels, whoever can unroll it fastest with their feet. I've seen them do that, and I'm like, wow, that's kind of cool. That's kind of fun. I would want to do that when I'm still able to move my feet. But just things like that challenge them, but make them feel useful and happy and joyful and part of a group. Part of it when they feel like they belong to a team. Whoa, that you made their day because they're still feeling purposeful.
Yes, ma'am. Another question was from the candidate who was raising the hand. In what ways does aging increases vulnerability to mental health issues such as depression and dementia?
Well, aging kind of it shuts down your neurologic function to a certain degree because you start slowing down. But if you're sparking, I say we're all born with a little spark in ourselves since we were born. We have a tiny little spark. That spark has to be ignited. And how do we ignite it? When we surround ourselves with other people that want to be ignited. And then you light up the world. And why you light up and you see the truth. You see what matters. You see what really is important in life. So I say recharge the sparks, gather them, make them feel wanted, and just find a common ground for all of them. Ask them what it is that they're missing in life, what do they want to do, or anything, and they'll start responding because they see that you're concerned for their well-being. And they'll contribute to a better well-being if they have a clear mind and can still function that way. But the people that can't function that way, just be there for them. They just because they don't express that they see you, they notice you, doesn't mean that they don't feel you. They feel that you're there. And I will tell you that because my dad had Alzheimer's and I never got along with my dad until he had Alzheimer's. And what? How can someone with Alzheimer's be more loving than someone without? Well, because I felt him smile. I played music for him. I said things to him that I would have never dared to say when I was growing up. And it made me feel the love of my father. So, whatever you do, do not ignore the people that are there because they had a life too. And one day remember that you will be older if God gives you the purpose and the passion to continue life. But at the same time, you got to remember You got to remember you're going to be in that position. So how do you take it from here to that position? By being joyful, by being resilient, by caring and being empathetic and compassionate with everyone. And love gets it all done.
Yes, ma'am. The love is a thing that can solve every problem in your life. What I think is, and thank you for that thing.
Mhm.
We would just since we are almost on time, we would just ask the last candidate to ask her question, Ms. Hamza. If you are audible to us, then can you please unmute and ask?
Yeah, okay. I'm Hamza, and I want to ask a question about uh, the invention of internet and social media. And many youngsters are using social media, and it makes them engage on social media so much that they don't give time to each other. So, what do you think that using a lot of social media and more dependent on it is also a cause of stress and depression among youngsters?
Yes, I think that is, it can be a cause of depression among the older people, but also it's like they're not acknowledging these people that are constantly scrolling and are constantly plugged in. They don't want to face their life. And that is a true. I think they've done studies. I can't give you the statistics, but the people that are always plugged in and don't release themselves, don't have human contact, they're shutting themselves down. They're becoming robots because all they're doing is moving their thumbs and being overstimulated. That extreme is too much too. So what I say would be a very good thing for, and I'm doing it, I'm going to start giving courses to older people so they don't feel left out. Even if it is just popping up a reel on the screen that they can say they did it, because they will feel included and they won't feel left out. But yes, those people that are plugged in at the same time are even making it more obvious to the people that don't plug in that the world is separating and we're not part of a group anymore. So bring everyone back to natural, what's important in life, to eat, to drink, to be merry, to be joyful, to be loving, and to be compassionate. Anything that makes you feel good, you want to share it with the world, but the rest of it, try to avoid it if you know that it's taking you away from human contact. That's about the best I could do for that answer, but it is a tough question, very tough question.
All right. Thank you so much, ma'am.
You're welcome.
Uh, Ma'am, we would just like you to answer one last question since we are almost on the time. It's a
Okay.
very good question. It is by Dr. Iram.
Mhm.
She's asking how, sorry, uh, how to be expressive or make others feel important, especially our mothers and fathers.
That's a tough one. That's a tough one. I didn't never get along with my mother until probably the very end. And the funny part was that she would tell people other things, that she was so happy and so joyful about me taking care of them, but she never told me. So I think that was pride as well, because, and shame that she even called me a mistake, because I know that she felt guilty about that. But the thing is get to know your parents. Acknowledge that they brought you into this world. Acknowledge that they've made you healthy and you're existing because they didn't neglect you. And maybe they'll open up to you. But definitely something that is important to get to know each other. But first of all, get to know yourself. Get to know what makes you, what breaks you, what you can let go, what you need to build on, and that's how we find the solution. But it's a lot of work. It's not easy. And I just wish everyone gives it a chance to see if it works for them.
Yes, ma'am. the candidate is satisfied with your question and he is thanking you for the same. So we'll take one last question from Miss Farida. Can you please unmute yourself and ask the question, please?
Am I audible?
Yes.
Yes, you're
Yes,
clearly audible.
Okay. So firstly, I would like to thank our mentor for this session. It's been very enlightening, starting to see things from other perspectives. I just wanted to really ask one question. Currently in our generation, we have the issue of not having a third home, which is basically, how you have your house and then you have work or school, and then you have like this one place where you feel at home. So I would like to hear your insights on the lack of probably due to internet and our devices. I would like to hear what you have to say as an older an older person with more insights. So I would like to hear what you have to say about the lack of our the gap between the generations, how we treat our mental health, basically.
Right. And so I am very familiar with places in the Far East and Africa, India, and all these, and I hear the people because I'm teaching some of them, and I hear the people, and they say, "Well, we don't have resources, and we don't have anything, and our parents live with us, but we don't, we don't have time to talk to them." And it's just like traditions are important. Traditions are very important. Family is what makes us and breaks us as well. If you notice, and I don't think I have to underline it very much, that families are broken now. Why? Because we went our separate ways. We don't even sit down for dinner anymore. And the basics in life are important. Gathering together, even if you just see each other, you don't have time to talk to each other, but that's important in the lack of internet in some places makes other people feel like they're not part of anything. But that's why families would be important, because I will say that the people in Africa seem to be more family oriented than the people in the United States. I say that they're more traditional. They carry their lineage all the way through many generations, because what worked for them keeps working for the next generation. But at the same time, you have a parallel going on with all this technology, and we got to be, artificial intelligent and this, that, and the other. No, yes, that's helpful. It's important to be knowledgeable of it, but nothing compares to being in a family and being a human being with someone else.
I hope
Thank you.
Farida,
Okay.
Yes.
you are encouraged by the answer which ma'am has given. Since we are
Yes,
almost across, yes.
Okay.
Uh, Ma'am, since we are almost crossed our time,
Yeah.
and the questions, if any candidate would have to address, I'll do share your LinkedIn with them, and you
Okay.
can address accordingly. And I would really like to thank you. I have observed the last time also and this time also, you don't go for the presentations and you make it very interactive, and which makes the audience longer. I enjoy your every session, so I find it very interactive and genuine. And with the spirit you and the energy you bring, we can
Thank
assess
you.
this through online thing.
Thank you.
So
Thank you. Thank you,
thank you,
everyone.
thank you a lot, ma'am. We are very fortunate that we are starting our first mental health and wellness series of uh, 1 million leadership program under community outreach with the presence of yours. So I'm really grateful for that thing, and our whole team is very grateful. And we really would like to see you again for another session, specifically on a specific area of creating resilience on our specific part of life.
All
I
right.
would surely talk to ma'am about it, and I'll reach out to you personally. Thank you a
Okay.
lot, ma'am. And
Thank
I would
you.
like to and I thank you, ma'am. And I would also like to thank the participants. They were quite interactive and I'm really sorry if your questions are unaddressed. But we will make sure that we call ma'am again, and you can address your questions specific to the topic. And thank you a lot, ma'am, once again.
God bless everyone. Take care of yourselves. Learn resiliency and share with the elder. Share whatever it is that you want, but be yourself. Be yourself. God bless.
Thank you, ma'am. Same to you.
Thank you so much, Miss Smith.
You're
Thank you so
welcome.
much for giving your time to us.
No problem.
Thank you.
Okay.